Good evening. We present the news summary. 15-year-old Tani Samdi has appealed to the National Assembly to not forget the children of Seychelles, especially those living with disabilities. Tani, who is blind, was invited to speak to the House in commemoration of World Children's Day on the 20th of this month. She spoke whilst using Braille. The first MNA living with a disability, Nadi Zialo, called for more resources to help disabled people. And following Tani's speech, both the leader of the opposition, Sébastien Pillet, and leader of government business, Bernard Georges, congratulated her for her determination and assured her that the Assembly would do its utmost to make the lives of children with disabilities easier. The two leaders said there was much to be done to facilitate the lives of those living with disabilities, especially in terms of facilitating movement and access to services.
We've done plenty, but we never do enough. Every new building must be designed to be disabled friendly. All the roads must be designed to be disabled friendly, and there must be programs put in place with the youth especially to ensure that they are not left behind. Those with speech impairments, those who are deaf or have auditory impairments, and those who are blind and who have visual impairments. It's not a question of, as you say, sitting down and making a speech once a year. We need to be sure that every day we are doing something to help these people. And I think the fact that we have one member of the National Assembly who is himself disabled, he will put the pressure on the rest of us and on government to make sure that this happens.
One of the policies we need to look at is in relation to planning. Okay? Planning we have to consider, for example, the construction. Anything that has to do with construction, be it pavements, be it anything, has to factor in the fact that you have people that might have difficulty using it. You always have to consider that perspective, which is very important. Another area which is important is in relation to the funding that we give to groups that deal with people with disabilities. You see, you have different groups, and these groups need to be supported. To some extent, government has to give some support, but I also feel that government has to encourage a new mindset around helping people with disabilities. And then a third area is, I think we need to have a proper legislation, a proper law that looks at the disabled, or try to ensure that within the spectrum, within all legislation, you include something about in relation to people with disabilities.
The MNA for the Inner Islands, Rocky Hurani, says that the lack of consultation of the plan to relocate the new hospital on Ladig is the reason why more than 500 residents of the island signed a petition. He says that the petitioners do not necessarily oppose the construction of a new hospital at Lignon. They rather dislike the fact that there has been no consultation by the government on the project. The signing of the petition follows the announcement by President Wivel Ramkalawan during his visit to Ladig that the new hospital will be built at Lignon rather than at La Paz, where the Logan Hospital is currently located. SBC has contacted State House and has been informed that the President has yet to officially receive a copy of the petition.
DIGWA is in favor of having a new hospital with all the necessary facilities, but DIGWA still have some concerns regarding the situation, how it was announced to them. They expect the government to react, come back to them, because DIGWA has always been like this. If they are not happy with something, they will petition about it in a democratic way to express themselves.
The Minister for Agriculture, Climate Change and Environment, Flavien Joubert, visited the Meteorological Authority at Pointe-la-Rue yesterday afternoon. There are 34 employees currently working at the authority. This includes 11 foreigners. The Chief Executive Officer of the authority, Vincent Amélie, says that every year they send 2 Seychellois on overseas training, and gradually they hope to replace the foreigners. The Minister responsible for Transport, Anthony Dejac, has promised to do his utmost to ensure road projects on Maé and Pralin are carried out thoroughly and in a timely manner. Minister Dejac was speaking as he visited the Land Transport Agency at Utulane today. He said he had listened to employees at the agency and he will take into consideration the grievances and suggestions on ways to improve working conditions. Minister Dejac was accompanied by the Principal Secretary for Transport, Patrick André, and the Chief Executive Officer of the SLTA, Harinda Perez. And the Minister for Lands and Housing, Billy Rangasamy, visited the Property Management Corporation. He said that it was important to address the social issues having negative impact on the lives of people living in housing estates managed by the corporation. The designated minister, who is also responsible for the blue economy, Jean-François Ferrari, has addressed the achievements and challenges of the blue economy strategy and introduced the Seychelles Blue Economy Youth Group to an international audience. This was during the 24th Intergovernmental Meeting of the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, held virtually yesterday afternoon at the Blue Economy Department at the Olialji building. In his address, Minister Ferrari said the government is committed to push further the blue economy agenda both on the national, regional and international levels. He also said his ministry will establish close collaboration with all stakeholders in this field and include the youth in decision making.
Since the blue economy is cross-cutting and multi-sectorial, needless to say that it is my wish that there be close collaboration and continuous dialogue between my ministry and other ministerial departments and agencies, such as tourism, maritime transport, environment, education, social, just to name a few, such that no sector in the blue economy sphere is ever marginalized. I would also like to renew the Seychelles' commitment to invest significantly in our youth and empower them to the best of their ability with the tools that they will need to effectively succeed us in the years to come. I foresee the Seychelles Blue Economy Youth Group here present today and represented by 5 outstanding young Seychellois. I foresee them as a preemptive strategy to address potential future gaps in the government aspects of our blue economy.
The Constitutional Court has dismissed the petition brought by VG Construction Limited on the grounds that it hasn't got a fair trial before the Supreme Court and the Court of Appeal in its case against Eastern European Engineering Limited in relation to the construction of a Savoy Hotel at Beauvallon. VG Construction Limited lost the case to EEL and was ordered by the court to pay 20 million euros as compensation for breaching contract agreements. The order of the Constitutional Court today was that the matter brought by the petitioner was adequately dealt with by a competent court. It said that the petition amounts to an abuse of the court process. Speaking to SBC after the Constitutional Court's verdict this morning, the lawyer for VG Construction Limited, Bernard Georges, said that both the Supreme Court and the Court of Appeal, which did not rule in his client's favor, did not allow for argument on certain issues it had raised.
Today's case was a preliminary point which was raised by EEL to say that our constitutional petition was an abuse of process because the point that we are raising in the Constitutional Court had already been dealt with by the Court of Appeal. I think the judges were wrong. I think the court was wrong because in the Court of Appeal, the point was raised, was argued, but the Court of Appeal did not rule on the point that I had raised, which was fair trial. They said that the court had considered the matter in what we call an obiter way, which is that it didn't conclude on that point, whereas that, in my view, misses the whole argument that I'm making. So it's likely that we will appeal against this preliminary ruling.
This was the news summary. Thank you for your attention.